Hello, this is Mr. George, and this is Web Lecture 4.5. Today we're going to be talking about voting. Now, in our mock election, you guys got the opportunity to vote, but you did not register and you were not of official voting age, which is why it was a mock election. Now, if you do want to participate in the official election, this is what you have to do. So the first question is, who can register to vote? Now, in order to register to vote, there are three things you have to do. First thing, you have to be a U.S. citizen who is 18 years old. Now, even if you are not a U.S. citizen, you have to work toward that in order to get to be able to vote. There are people in the United States that may live here their entire life as a resident, but unless you become a citizen, go through the citizenship process, then you are unable to vote. And it is the 26th Amendment that set the voting age at 18. Prior to 1971, the voting age was 21. Second requirement is that you have to be a resident of the state that you are registering in. So in order to register to vote, say in North Carolina, if you move here from another state, you have to be an official resident, which means you have to have something that has your valid address on it, so you have proof of residence. And the third thing is that you cannot be convicted of a felony. Now, this is the case in most states. North Carolina, you cannot vote if you have been convicted of a felony. There are some states, however, that do not have this restriction and only have the other two requirements in order to register to vote. So, second question is, how do you register to vote? What is it that you need to do? So, first, in most states, you have to register at least 25 days before the election. This just gives them the opportunity to process your paperwork and your election. Now, in some less populated states, Montana, I believe Wyoming, you can register up to and until election day because it's not as much of a process for people to get registered because there are fewer people in that state. Next, you can register through the mail. So the easiest way to register to vote is to go to the post office, get a registration form, and then fill it out and send it away. And you can do that all at the post office. Also, I have voter registration forms, so if you are approaching 18 and you want to register to vote, just come see me and I can set that up for you. I can give you the form and you can give it back to me and I can mail it in for you even. So that's a possibility as well. Another way to make registering to vote easier is what's called the Motor Voter Law, or it's officially known as the National Voter Registration Act. Now, the Motor Voter Law makes it very easy to register to vote, especially when you move from one state to another. Because what you can do is once you are a resident of that state, and you go to get your driver's license or you go to renew your driver's license, they will automatically register you to vote. And so that makes it really a whole lot easier. You don't even have to do anything except to renew your driver's license. Now, since the beginning of voting in the United States, suffrage, or the right to vote, has expanded. Initially, it was all white land-owning men. Then gradually that opened up to all white men, and then it opened up to all men, so regardless of race or creed, and opened to all women, and eventually to 18-year-olds. Now, the first expansion of suffrage was that, as I said, from all white men to all men in general. And so in 1870, African American men got the right to vote with the 15th Amendment. This was the third of what were called the Civil War Amendments, the 13th, which ended slavery, the 14th, which gave African Americans the protection of rights, and the 15th Amendment gave them the right to vote. The second expansion of suffrage was the 19th Amendment. This amendment was passed in 1920, and this gave women the right to vote, still expanding suffrage even further. The final expansion of suffrage is the 26th Amendment, and in 1971, this reduced the minimum voting age to 18. As I stated before, prior to 1971, it had been 21, so you had to be 21 in order to vote. So this expanded the number of people that could vote as well. Now, aside from this is the only time that suffrage has been expanded, and in order for that to happen, it has to be declared by a constitutional amendment, which you will notice these are. Now, once you have registered and you know you are eligible, what do you do in order to vote? Well, the first thing you need to do is figure out where your polling place is. And the polling place is where you vote. This is your voting location, and they will inform you of that once you get your registration form back. Now, your polling place is located within your precinct, and this is your voting district. So this will be also given to you, and it's based on your address. So whatever precinct you're in will include several polling places, but specifically will include yours as well. Next, once you get to your polling place in your precinct, you will get a ballot, and this ballot is a list of the candidates that are available to vote for. So this will include all the different positions that you're voting for, each person in each party that is running, and so this is the list that you get to choose from in order to vote. Now, if for some reason you can't get to your precinct or your polling place, you can do what's called absentee voting. And this is when you are, let's say you're in the military, or you're in college, or you're away on business during voting day. You can request an absentee ballot, and it's essentially the exact same ballot you would get at the polling place. They send it to you, you fill it out, and you send it back. Simple as that. So if you know that you're not going to be at your house or you will be unable to vote on voting day, then you can do what's called absentee voting. Also, in some states, particularly here in North Carolina, we have what's called early voting, and that is available usually at different libraries around Mecklenburg County, and you have the opportunity to vote actually before Election Day. So this has helped a lot of people to get to the polling places and to vote as well. Now, who votes? And that's a question you may have, or in some cases, who does not vote? Now, the people that can vote are known as the electorate. These are all people that are eligible to vote, and anyone that meets the criteria that we mentioned before are eligible to vote. But clearly not all of those people do vote. In the 2008 election, we only had about 45% of the electorate vote, which means that that's even a smaller percentage of the entire population that voted. And a lot of that voting, or non-voting, is attributed to what's called apathy, or a lack of interest. And so this apathy can really cause a lot of people to keep from voting, and therefore give more power to a smaller group of people who are, in fact, voting. So the people that vote, you're more likely to vote if you fit into this category. People that have a higher level of education, people that are between middle-aged and elderly, and people with higher incomes. Those people are more likely to vote. But the people that are less likely to vote fit in this category. Young people, less educated people, and people with lower incomes. They feel like their voice doesn't really matter, and so they are less likely to vote, being more apathetic, and so therefore that really puts the power in the hands of the other group. So this is the web lecture about voting. We will talk more about voting and what impacts there are of voting, and what you can do once you are able to vote. So that concludes our web lecture on voting. Have a good day. Bye-bye.